What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Soft 2 Club channel. Today we're here with James with this beautiful Cayman. Yeah, before we get into it, as usual, we're gonna talk about James, how he's got into the cars, and eventually move on to the car. So James, welcome.
Thank you.
And could you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
I've been into cars probably since I was 16, as soon as I got my first car.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So I basically got started in cars just drag racing my brother down the street.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're young, you do stupid things.
Yeah.
But yes, ever since then I've been hooked. I've been modifying cars. I've done car shows. I've done drifting.
Nice.
I've tried opening my own shop. And then I took like a pretty long break, probably like around the 2010. You know, so I settled down, I got married, I had family. There wasn't much cars in between. I still minor mods, you know, I bought cars, I still lowered them, things like that.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Yeah, but you can't go all into it, you know. No more turbo kits, no more loud exhausts.
What was your first car?
My first car was a GSR, Integra GSR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You started with the Honda. And then I know you had 240. So were you always into Hondas, or did you
My list of cars that I've owned are very weird and very random.
Like
I went from like I had the Integra, and then after the Integra I had an SLK.
Oh, okay.
And then when I had the SLK, I was a little bit bored of it because it was a luxury car.
Yeah.
So I went out and I picked up a S13 for about like $1,000, which those days are unthinkable now. And then from there, I've had G35s, M Coupe, and then Evo 10, FDs, FC. Yeah, and rotaries is one of those things which I'm very passionate about too. But their prices are just unattainable. At one point, I had about 3 FCs and 1 FD.
Oh man.
Yeah. But then
All running?
No, 2 were parts cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you play the rotary game.
Yeah, I agree. So then, what was your favorite out of that?
My favorite was my FD, which I actually sold to a friend of mine, and he refuses to sell it back.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you get into tracking?
I got into tracking because, well, after the drag racing, I got into car shows. And I actually went to a car show out in Laguna Seca. And they had basically they had a parade lap for people who were in the show. And then they let you drive on track, you know? And, you know, when you have a parade lap, you know, everyone's goofing off a little bit and everyone's taking it a little bit faster than they should. And I drove in and I was instantly hooked. So I called a friend of mine. I'm like, hey, let's sign up for a track day. And then I started going to track days through Speed Trial.
Yeah, that was an old school venue, right?
Yeah, I started going through Speed Trials, and like the first few track days I signed up with my friend, but they always ditched me at the end. So my first 2 track days were actually solo by myself. But it was still really fun, and then, you know, when you're on track, you get hooked, regardless of who's there.
Did you start with the S13 then?
Yes, I started tracking with the S13. It was kind of the intention was to track and drift the S13.
I see.
Yeah.
So it was did you show that car too? Was it a show
car? It was a show car as well. I took it to shows, but it wasn't really built for the purpose of being a show car.
Yeah.
You know, you do like the wide body and then you do all the engine mods and it just ends up looking nice. After that came an M4.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I picked up the M4 just because, you know, I was getting bored of the A7 and wanted something a little bit more sporty. So I got into the M4, and then that's when the mod button started hitting again, you know. There's all these parts available, suspension, body kits, suspension arms, engine tunes, and everything was easy and accessible just because it's the M chassis. You know, any M chassis aftermarket parts are aplenty.
From the factory, they're probably like one of the most capable cars, right?
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was built to do that. So
Yes.
were you tracking with the M4?
I took it to one track day. It was kind of like a promotional day.
Yeah.
It was a promotional event for Titan 7.
I see.
So I just went out there. I took my car out on the lap a couple times, and then you know it got me a little bit intrigued again. But then, you know, with the family and everything, and my kids getting a little bit older, I wanted to get into an M3 instead of M4. So I was shopping for M3s, and then I thought, for shits and giggles, I thought I'd go test drive the Model 3 Performance.
Oh.
So I ended up leaving the Tesla test drive with an order for a Model 3. And with the Model 3, there were a lot of companies like Unplugged Performance, which was running a Tesla Corsa.
Yeah.
So I went out to one of those track days, and then that's when I felt that I wanted to get back in the track.
Yeah, yeah. Teslas are very capable cars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And after the Tesla, then the Cayman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Finally here at the
yes, we're finally at the Cayman. It took a while, but you know, it was quite a journey, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, the Tesla was great on track, but it felt more like driving a video game. You know,
I see.
the car, there wasn't like very specific feedback to anything that would let you know that the driver needs improvement. I feel like I can just throttle throughout everything on the course at Buttonwillow.
Yeah.
Granted, it won't produce the best lap time, but it'll feel fast.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And then you wanted something that's a little more attached to the driver.
Yeah, more dynamic.
Yeah. Hence this car, which is a perfect choice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What is your dream car?
My dream car? My dream car is probably, my dream car is a lot, not exactly on the same level as some other people, but my dream car is probably going to be something like a GT3 or a Z06.
Okay.
Because I can never picture myself owning an exotic. They're nice to look at, but you know, I really don't want to own one.
Yeah.
You know, so I've always been the more cheek and tongue affordable or attainable.
Yeah, me too.
You know.
I mean, I own a 240 and a Civic still, so. But yeah, I can see where your idea is coming from.
Yeah.
You kind of want. I mean, exotics are cool, obviously.
But I'm not going to be able to drive it out.
Exactly. You want to be able to like fully test it, fully, you know, experience it, right?
Yeah. When you have an exotic, the extent of how you use it is probably going to be something like cars and coffee.
Yeah,
you know, it's rarely you're going to be able to track an exotic a lot unless you're on a whole different level.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And those guys that really drive exotic, I have a lot of respect for them because you know it's hard-earned money for them, and they're just really putting it out there. So.
Yes, there's nothing but respect for those guys too, though.
For sure.
Because even if I had the money, I don't think I could do it.
Do you have a favorite track and the reason?
My favorite track is Streets right now, just because that's where everything started for me. Most of my track days when I first started was Streets of Willow.
Okay.
But Buttonwillow is really starting to grow on me as I learn more intricacies of it. You know, I spent the whole 2021 learning the track.
Good.
So it's a lot more than what I thought it was. You know, you think Streets is a technical track, which it is, but then Buttonwillow can be just as technical.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a lot more forgiving, so you don't see the technicalities of the track.
Right. All right, James, what are we looking at? What year is this?
We're looking at a 2014 Porsche Cayman.
You were telling me off camera that this is actually a non-GT4.
Yes, it just looks like a GT4. The goals of this car essentially was to build a more budget-friendly track car,
Yeah.
starting with the GT4, because GT4s will start roughly at about 100K minimum.
Gotcha.
But I did all the relevant mods. It has a GT4 front bumper with full ducting and a GT4 radiator.
Okay. To the audience that may not know the difference between the regular Cayman and the GT4, what's the main difference?
The main difference, I would say, is the aero.
Okay.
It's got more downforce in the front, more downforce in the back.
Okay.
And the changes are mostly only on the GT4 because of fuel efficiency. So the regular Caymans are more fuel efficient because of less drag on the aero.
How much more power does a GT4 make?
GT4 makes about 50 more horsepower,
50,
I'd say.
Okay.
50 to 60. I'm not exactly sure on the number.
Cool. So what? Yeah, let's start from the front. What? Obviously, besides from the bumper, what's been done?
It has a CSF GT4 radiator. The suspension arms are all from BVI.
Okay.
It has Olin's Road and Track coilovers.
Nice. Good choice.
Gyrodisc rotors all around.
Okay.
Paget pads.
Okay.
Titan 7 wheels with titanium lug nuts. Motorsports Hardware's wheel studs.
Nice. And these are what, AO52s? Yeah.
Yes, this is AO52. This is my first time on AO52s actually. My last set was a RE71.
Okay. Man. And what was your PB with this thing?
It was 159.6.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's quick. So now that you have AO52, you're gonna go faster.
I'm hoping for faster. I'm a very goal-oriented person, so I'm trying to get this down to at least 156.
Okay. Gotcha.
Over here inside the cabin, I have Recaros.
Oh, those are the JDM spec, aren't they?
Yeah, these are the Recaro Japan seats. A Studio RSR roll bar.
Okay.
And nothing else much to the interior besides my Garmin Catalyst.
Oh. Mind if I open?
Yeah, go ahead.
Man, these cars really don't need much, right?
Yeah, it's a very, very capable stock. Most of the work on here is suspension or safety.
Gotcha. Everything's so clean.
Well, that has always been my philosophy about buying used cars.
Uh-huh.
Search for a car with a clean interior. The body is easy to fix, but interior is expensive to buy.
We got SDC. Shout out to SoCal Driver Club. And the rear pads are Paget too?
Yes, the rear is on Pagets and Gyrodisc rotors.
Okay.
And same suspension treatment in the back with BVI suspension arms.
Okay.
The car essentially has full spherical suspension except for the trailing arms.
Got it. And the rear.
Over here in the rear, I have designed by Jacobs, swan neck wing.
Okay.
And more GT4 replica parts like the duckbill spoiler and the diffuser.
Nice.
I changed the taillights over to GTS taillights, just because you gotta look nice while you're going fast too.
Yeah. Those are nice. Can we see the engine? Or actually we can't.
The engine's
it's all hidden, right? Yeah.
The engine's right underneath the middle cover right
true.
here.
Yeah.
So it requires, to get any engine work done, requires what's called the carpet taken off.
Right.
5 panels and about 20 screws.
Yeah. That's true.
It's not hard to work on, it's just a little bit more work.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So this car pretty much just has different brakes, different tires, different suspension, and then you were able to do sub 2.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a pretty clever choice if you think about I don't know how much Caymans go for these days, but you know, it's very civilized. It's a Porsche. You know, you can take your date out to dinner or whatnot, and then go to the track and still have fun.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. All right. Well, let's take it for a quick spin and see how it is. Very civilized, very comfortable. You say it's stiff, but this is nothing. Donuts here.
I hear it every other night.
Really? James, you actually wrench on this thing.
Yes, I do almost all my own work.
Nice.
The only thing I've had a shop do is paint the front bumper, and Studio RSR installed the roll bar. But everything else I do myself, even my own alignments.
That's cool. That's cool. Is it fairly easy working on these things?
It's easier than most people think.
Uh-huh.
But it's harder than normal front engine cars.
Right.
Just because there's paneling and things in the way that you just gotta get out.
Right.
But nothing's too difficult.
Got it. If you were to start over, would you do anything different?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't do anything different.
Good.
I'm very satisfied with how the car came out. You know, the car was bought and built for the purpose of getting sub 2s at Button Willow.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any future plans?
I do have a few other things. They're not too performance oriented. I have I actually have a set of RS style fenders upstairs.
Ooh.
And I have the cup flares from 991.
Nice. And they fit right over the...
Yeah, they should fit, but if a cutting is required, I have aftermarket fenders to put them on.
Awesome. Awesome. What does sub 2 mean to you?
Sub 2 was a goal for me. It was it's one of those things that popped in my mind during pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, I've driven on track, I enjoy working on cars, but I thought I'd spend the time and work on my skills as a driver. You know, it seemed so difficult at first, you know. My first time back on track after 10 years. You know, you go back on track, it's like you get like a 212 and you're like, oh, I'm already driving the fastest I can drive. Where am I going to find more time? And then that's when you start practicing reading and studying. You know, the sub 2s isn't just you go hang out with your buddies at track days. It's studying. I've been taking classics or basic classics at like HP Academy. You know, I've been reading whatever I can, going through my data. You know, 1 year later, 5 track days, and you know, I finally got it at 159.
Awesome. Awesome. And what things about life do you learn through cars?
Lots of life applies to cars, but one of the most important things is just like a car, you know, you work at it one thing at a time. You know, separate your issues. Don't try to take things as a whole picture, you know. If you work at your small goals, you'll reach your big goal eventually.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. All right. Thank you guys for joining for this video. James, is there anything, any last thing you want to say to the audience?
I want to thank everyone who's helped me with this car. I want to thank Titan 7 for the wheels, Studio RSR for the roll bar, and SoCal Drivers Club for having excellent track days with plenty of track time to help you learn without having to deal with any traffic.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, well, thank you for joining, James, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.